Guys, welcome to my channel Hairliciously. Today in this video I'm going to show you guys how to draw the perfect hairline design tutorial. The key of the hairline is perhaps the biggest challenge and most demanding part in hair transplantation, and the key to a natural looking hair transplant is good hairline design. And if the hairline doesn't look natural, then the hair transplant will be noticed by others, since the hairline is part that is most seen in social interactions. Prior to getting my first hair transplant, I always spent an unnecessary time in front of the mirror just attempting to draw the ideal hairline. I really hated my old hairline as it was receding on both temples and the temporal points. And since I was naturally born with a high forehead, I was always self-conscious of my forehead and my hair loss when most people around me had a nice head of hair without any type of recessions. So before I get started, keep in mind that I'm not a hair transplant doctor, and this is pretty much based on my opinions from research that I've done, from reading articles and speaking to different hair transplant doctors. So please keep that in mind and take this video with a grain of salt. So number one is going to be the forehead length. So the first part of a hairline design is figuring out exactly what the length of your forehead is going to be. You obviously don't want a hairline that's too high or too low. And since most of my viewers are in their 20s and 30s, I'm going to demonstrate a hairline that is going to be most well suited for somebody in his 30s. If you're suffering from a more severe form of hair loss, you obviously want to be more conservative with your hairline placement. For example, you want to place a little bit higher so that you can have enough donor supply to cover your future receding hairline. And also, if you have an abnormally large or small head, you want to make sure that everything's going to be proportionate based on your facial features and your bone structure. Alright, so the face is divided into three different parts. We have the upper, which is going to be from the hairline to the upper part of the eyebrow. And then we have the middle, which is from the upper part of the eyebrow to the bottom base of the nose. And then the lower is going to be from the nose to the bottom of your chin. For Caucasians and Asians, they're going to have about an average of about 6 centimeters of forehead. And then in African Americans, they're going to have about 6.5 centimeters. Alright, so grab a pen or your girlfriend's eyeliner, and then you want to measure the forehead starting from the upper part of the eyebrow to the top portion. My forehead's about 7 centimeters, but then for the sake of this video, I'm going to draw it down to maybe a 6. So as you guys can see, I already drew a dot right there, so that's going to be where my hairline's going to start. My hairline is originally about 7 centimeters, and it's a little bit larger than the average 6 or 6.5, but my doctor felt that it was a good placement for the hairline and that it looked natural. And I could have lowered it 1 centimeter, but that would have meant that I would have to use more grafts, and I wanted to save it for future hair loss. So number 2 is going to be the temporal points. The temporal points is going to give you that youthful and masculine appearance. So if you guys take a look at the picture here, we have a picture of Brad Pitt, and then notice how the temporal point is extending out above his eyebrows. Now, if you don't get your temporal points rebuilt, or if they're non-existent and you don't do anything about it, and you end up getting a hair transplant, it's going to give you that lit effect appearance, and it's going to look very unnatural and as if you're wearing a toupee or something. The temporal points are going to extend out about 2.5 to 3 centimeters from the horizontal plane above the eyebrow, and at about 45 to 60 degrees to the outer limit of the eyebrows, and then extends back to 45 to 60 degrees to connect with the frontal hairline. The more that you extend the temporal point, the smaller the width of your forehead is going to be, so you want to make sure that you either don't have too much temporal point sticking out or too little. Let me give you guys a demonstration of what I just talked about. So you want to get some type of ruler. You want to measure a horizontal line from the upper portion of your eyebrows, and that's going to determine exactly where your temporal point is going to start from. So in my case, here's the upper part of my eyebrow, and I'm just going to draw a straight line. And you see that point right there? That's going to be the beginning of the temporal point. I can go ahead and start from there and extend out between 2.5 to 3 centimeters. You can either make it longer or smaller based on your preference, but since my temporal point is going to start somewhere from here, if I measure it about 2.5 to 3, so in my case it's about 3 centimeters, and the angle from the horizontal line from the eyebrows to that temporal point is going to be about 45 to 60 degrees. So if you guys take a look here, it's at an angle of 45 to 60 degrees, and it's sticking out about 3 centimeters. The more steeper you go, it's going to give you that more appearance of a smaller forehead, but in my case, it's going to be a little bit more of an acute angle at about probably 60 degrees. So it's a little bit higher, but you guys can adjust it depending on what your preferences are. So same thing on the other side. If you guys take a look here, the temporal angle is going to extend out about 3 centimeters in my case, and then here is the horizontal line from the tip of my eyebrows going straight across, and that point right there is going to be determining exactly where the temporal point is going to start from. So in my case, it's already extending out, so I'm not really going to draw it out, but I'm probably just going to put a dot here just to show you guys how far that extends out. So you guys can see where the temporal points are going to start from. The more that you extend out, it's going to make your forehead a little bit smaller. As you guys can see in this picture, Brad Pitt has his temporal points going past the outer limit of his eyebrows. Now for most people, it's going to probably just be right at the tip of their eyebrows but for some people it's going to go in closer, and that's going to make your forehead more smaller. So if your temporal points aren't extending as much, then you're going to have more of a wider forehead, as you guys can see in this picture of David Beckham. So his temporal points have a recession, and it's not as pronounced as Brad Pitt's, so that's why he's going to look as if he has a more wider forehead. Now that we have our temporal points extended out on both sides, we are going to have to go up and connect it to the front of the hairline. Since this angle here was about 45 to 60 degrees, we also want the angle from here to here, that angle right there on the inside, to be between 45 and 60 degrees. So what you want to do is you want to draw a reference point somewhere where your hairline is, but then you don't want to go straight across because that's going to look very unnatural. And since we're dealing with temples, this is going to bring us into our number 3 for designing the ultimate hairline. It's going to resemble some type of a smooth round surface like a belt. If you guys were to look at an aerial view of a hairline, it's actually not going to be straight unless you're African American. They're typically going to have a straighter hairline than Caucasians and Asians. But since I am Asian, I'm going to try to draw a hairline where it's going to be more in the shape of a belt. From here, I'm going to draw a line of about 45 degrees to 60 degrees. And instead of just going straight, I'm going to have the temporal point going to be a little bit higher because the temples are going to look more natural if they are receding a little bit. So if you guys take a look here, I'm going to draw a line, maybe possibly that's going to go up to here. So this angle right there should be about 45 to 60 degrees. It looks like it's more towards 60 degrees, but that can also be done based on your preference. And then same thing here, I'm going to go ahead and draw a point. The angle from here to here, that angle right there should be about closer to 60 degrees. So once we have that, let's go ahead and draw it out. Now it's kind of hard because I'm looking at the camera here. It should go up something like that. Now once you have that done, if you're African, you can draw more of a smoother hairline, but since I'm Asian and since I want to have more of a natural looking hairline, I'm going to kind of have more of a round surface. So it should look something like that. It looks very natural if you guys take a look here. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, you guys can still see the temporal recession here slightly, and then it has a bell shape, and ideally this would have been the hairline that I really would have wanted when I got my hair transplant, but that would have meant that I would have had to lower it about 1 centimeter more, and then that would have meant that I have to pay more money and then use up and deplete my donor hair. So I'm pretty much content with where I'm at right now. I just wanted to make a video so that you guys can try to draw your own hairline and see exactly how you want it to look. Thanks for watching guys. I hope that this has been educational. If you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave me some comments. And be on the lookout for more hair loss videos and hair transplant tips. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.